evening, everyone. How's your day been today? Mine's been pretty doggone good. It really has. For a nice fall afternoon. Now it's evening, starting with evening, and I'm going to make a longtime favorite. Used to be every Saturday night I made this faithfully with my family. It's not Saturday night, but you know what? I went through kind of my list of things that I've been doing on videos, and I thought, how in the world could I have left this one out? Which is an old standby. Everybody cooks it all the time in their house, and I'm going to now. I'm going to make spaghetti and meatballs, and to tell you the honest truth, when I was a young gal, raising my family, I didn't make a lot of meatballs because I had to take that package of hamburger and I needed to make it go a long ways with a family, a larger family. So when you're doing it, meatballs, you know, there's just so many that you can make unless you're using an awful lot of hamburger. And otherwise, you have to just take that hamburger and, you know, chop it up in your skillet and make it go a long ways. So I don't have that problem anymore. I don't have the large family to worry about anymore. And tonight, it's just me. And so I'm going to make spaghetti and meatballs the old-fashioned way. So let me dive right in and show you kind of how I do it. So I have some hamburger here, but I have two different ones that I'm going to be using. My recipe calls for 2 pounds of hamburger, and each one of these little packages is a pound. So I'm going to go ahead, and because I like spaghetti and meatballs, I'm going to go ahead with the 2 pounds of the hamburger. That's to begin with. So I start with that. And to make meatballs, you'll just need a couple of things. You need to start with, if I can find them here. It's very similar on meatballs that you're going to start with, like making meatloaf. It really is. So in with this now, I'm going to add 2 eggs, large eggs. These are my farm fresh eggs that I get from my gal right down the road that I talk about every now and then. So I'm going to stick in the 2 eggs. Now, a lot goes in this rather than the sauce. It really does. Okay, so there's the 2 eggs. Then I'm going to take some onion, of course. Have to have a little bit of onion. I wanted to wait on this video. I was going to wait and have a friend do this with me, but he's so shy. That we never got around to doing it, and it's like, you know what, I want some spaghetti between now and whenever he gets over his shyness of being in front of a camera. And it's not for everybody, it really isn't. I've never had that problem. I can speak in front of large groups of people, so I don't have that problem that I can't stand and look in a camera. I know that the very first video that I ever made cooking, I was a little nervous. And why? Is because my husband was filming it, and he was the one making me nervous. He really was. He's such a perfectionist. And I was afraid I was going to, you know, mess up right in front of him. And oh my gosh, he'd, you know, say no to me or he'd do something. So I was a little nervous just having him be my camera person. I really was. Okay, so that's in there. Now you're going to take, I might have, maybe get it in a little bigger bowl, but that's okay. I'm going to add some garlic, but I'm going to take the garlic that I like to use in a hurry, and that is this kind that's already chopped up, ready to go for you, that you can put in your refrigerator. And I'm going to go ahead and use, I don't like a lot of garlic. Some people do, but I don't, so I'll go a half of a teaspoon of the garlic. About all I need, folks. Really, it is. Then I'm going to take some Parmesan cheese. Oh, this is a new one. That's good. New, I like everything new and fresh. This open here. If you had fresh Parmesan that you want to grate, that works too, to do it. But I just have this, and that's fine. This is going to give it a nice, flavor. That big chunk in there. Okay, so we'll go that much in there of the Parmesan cheese. Now we need something to stick it all together. We really do. And to do that, what I like to take is just, you can take the already ones that are already done of some breadcrumbs. You can take the ones in a, just kind of in a big container. And I have those. I have the Italian kind and I have just regular. But truly the best is just to take some bread, put it in some kind of a food processor. Now we only need about a half a cup of this, so I'm just gonna guess here, maybe one full piece and a half of a piece. Put it in and let's chop this up. Put the lid on it. We have some breadcrumbs. And let's see how much that makes. Which I think I'll be okay with this much. Yep. So even maybe, depending on how big your bread is, these are a little larger in size, so maybe 1 slice to 1.5 slices of the breadcrumbs. Put that in there. Pretty simple, huh? Now we need some spices. Go ahead and just take this away right quick. Don't have that much room over here right now. We'll take this away. Get it out of the way. Okay, now we're going to take some spices. And you'll need 2 different ones here and some good old salt and pepper. You really will. So I'm going to take some parsley. And I'm going to take a good teaspoon of the parsley. This is dried parsley. And mine are pretty fresh. Mine really are. It's not like when I go out into my greenhouse and get my herbs, but they still are pretty fresh. And then I'm going to take a teaspoon of oregano and stick in there. And of course we have to have salt and pepper. So just take probably about a half a teaspoon of each one and put that in there. Now how easy is that? Pretty easy. Okay, next step is, get all this, of my breadcrumbs. Just like a meatloaf. I mean, get your hands down in here and get working on it. You want everything incorporated into that hamburger. And it will. Now, the liquid that I'm going to put in here is 2/3 cup of milk. I'll stick that in there. Pretty much like I said, like a meatloaf. With the exception of just a couple of little items, it really is the same as a meatloaf. And this gives, now years ago I didn't even do this far. I really didn't. I would take a pound, or a couple of pounds, of hamburger. And yes, I would put some onions, some diced up onion, but I would put it in a skillet, of course, and just cook it all at once. If I was making a meatball years ago, I didn't use this method. I just went with the basic of just doing the onion, salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of spices of the oregano and things like that. But I didn't do the breadcrumb method. And truly, this I think you will like because it is a lot more moist. It's not a dry meatball at all. See, you're just blending it, getting it all together. Okay, let me wash my hands real fast from that. Real fast. Okay, now next what I want to do is we're going to put these in the oven. We're not going to fry these in a pan or anything like that. You are going to put them in the oven. So again, take one of these, or you can roll it by hand, whatever you want to do. And you can make them as large or small as you want. So, you know, you take it. If you get them all the same size, then they're going to cook a lot more even. And that's what you want. I want these cooked inside. I really, really do. After they have cooked for a good 30 minutes in an oven of mine is set for 425 degrees, hot oven, then I'll take them out and I'm on to cooking the pasta noodles, the pasta part. and then my sauce. But I first wanted to get the meatballs done. See how fast and easy it goes? And like I said, you can make them as small as you want or as large as you want. I remember one evening I took some and I made, they were softball size. They really were. It was just my husband and I at the time, and I thought, you know, I don't want to make all those individual little meatballs. I just want to do a couple of great big ones. And I had some other kind of different pasta I was using, and it came out really good. It really did. But I remember making those huge balls, and I didn't put them in the oven. I did fry them in a skillet. I really did. So this is a different way of doing this. And it comes out. It'll be just fine. This makes a lot, and because it's just me, yes, I will be freezing some of this for when husband does get home. I freeze a lot of my food, and when he gets home or he takes off and he wants to take some food with him on his journeys, then he has something nice to eat. He really does. Let's see if I can get some more in here without... I can use the whole cookie sheet here. Yeah, like I said, I was going through my list and I thought, what haven't I cooked in a while to show everybody? And I thought, how in the world did I miss a spaghetti dinner? How simple, how easy. But everybody makes it different. It's kind of like chili. It's kind of like a potato salad. Just everybody makes their spaghetti different. If it's not from the meat part, it's onto the sauce that everybody makes really, really different. So I'm going to pop these now in the oven for 30 minutes. Stick them all in here. There's a bunch of them. Set my timer and wait for 30 minutes. And while that's doing, then I'll come back over here and I'll set my pan for getting the noodles ready and getting the sauce ready. So hang on for that. Okay, I'm back. I have started the pan for the water for my spaghetti noodles, and I have a pan for the sauce now. So it is boiling. I always put a little salt in mine when I want the water to start boiling. So I like to put my spaghetti pasta in, you know, whatever container instead of the plastic bags. And I've already halved, you know, it comes long, and I've halved the spaghetti. So it's ready to go when I'm ready to go. So I'm going to put in, I don't know, several of these in here, because like I said, not only am I eating it tonight, but I want to put some away for husband in the freezer. So I'll start with a little bit more, I guess. A little bit more, because I like spaghetti. I really do. That's part of it there. Let me calm my dogs down. If you have animals at your house, you know what I go through. And especially if you have young little dogs, they're a handful. They really are. They're not even over. Well, Daisy May is. She's 2 years old. But I'll tell you what, when they get playing and going, I really can't do anything. I can't talk. I can't hear. So they're out back now. All right, so I've put the spaghetti noodles in the pan. It's on high. It will start cooking. This pan now is all nice and hot and ready to go for my sauce. And you know what? Because I've put a lot of spices already in the meatballs, I don't want to get a spaghetti sauce that has it all packed in that jar. So you can certainly make spaghetti sauce homemade. It's great to do. This is a quick dinner tonight. So I like to use marinara sauce. I use it quite a bit. I really do. And that's what I'm going to use tonight for my spaghetti sauce part. Turn this way down here. Way down. Now you can also add things to this to jazz it up. You really can. I'm going to put a bay leaf in mine. couple of them. That always gives it nice flavor. Sure that's down in there a little bit. Then, of course, to taste, I always try to tell everybody, taste things before you add or get carried away with a lot of spices. You know, taste, it already pretty much has some salt and pepper in this, but I'll add just a little bit more, not much, a little bit more in there. So years ago, and on another video, I already told you about the funny little story of my first experience with going to somebody else's house for a spaghetti dinner. And oh my gosh, it was all new to me when I was in my teens. It really was. But like I said, everybody cooks spaghetti different, whether you're using sausage, some kind of pork, maybe you're combining hamburger and pork together, whatever you want to use as your meat. I just decided to, yes, use these meatballs because I thought that would be really good tonight. I really did. Many years ago, when I got married, my mother-in-law, she would make spaghetti. And again, I was so young and so naive back then, but I also knew at that time what my mother always cooked for spaghetti. And so going to somebody else's house for a meal, you know, was always different because they cook different. Everybody cooks different. And she would do, like me, as far as she wouldn't make the meatballs, she would do the meat in a skillet with some onion, and I think she put some bell pepper in hers and doctored it up with some other spices and everything. But when she got all done, then she'd let that just sit in that skillet, and of course, it develops all the grease, and she wouldn't drain the grease. And so when she was ready to serve the spaghetti, and it was kind of a serve yourself. You'd go up to the stove and you would get the spaghetti out, you know, out of the pan and put it on your plate. And then nothing was in a separate dish on the table like what I was used to. And then you would go over to get the meat and she'd have a ladle in there for the meat. And I kid you not, because I remember this so well, she'd have probably that much of grease floating on the top of the sauce, the meat. Yeah. And I'm thinking, we're supposed to put that on top of the pasta noodles, all that grease, all that oil? She wouldn't drain it. She just didn't drain it. That was another experience with spaghetti. So you just have to kind of laugh at it at the time when you're seeing all this and doing it. And make your own sauce, you know, do whatever you want to do. So on this one, let's taste it to see what it needs. It tastes a little bitter to me, just a little bit. So I'm going to grab some of my spices and doctor it up just a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit more parsley in there because I just kind of think it needs it. And then I'm going to add a little bit more oregano. Just kind of think it needs it. Not much, just a sprinkle. I'll call it that. Just put in a sprinkle. We'll try that, see if that helped it in any way. By golly, it did. It toned down that bitterness. Yep, I like that right there. So again, anytime you're making something, try it. Try it all out before you ever put it all together and think, oh, I don't like that or whatever. Now I'm going to grab, because they are done, of the meatballs. I went halfway of the time of the 30 minutes, and I opened the oven and I just started turning the meatballs over. So here are the meatballs, right here. And I will be adding those now. Should have got a bigger pan, but I am going to add these all into my sauce. And if I don't want to do all of these in here for this particular sauce, look how many I have left to put with something else. That maybe I have some different noodles of some kind that I want to do. Doesn't really matter. And give that a good stir in there of getting the sauce all on the meatballs. They smell great. They really do. If you were in my kitchen, you'd want to sit down at my table and have the spaghetti dinner tonight. You really would. So as quick and easy as this is, Then I always usually go and buy, and I try to find it everywhere. First I went to Walmart on a couple of errands, nothing in all of the bakery area as far as some French bread. Then I went to my grocery store and they didn't have the fresh French bread. It was packaged, but I just didn't kind of care for it. So a lot of times I get the ones that are frozen in a box like this. They call it a Texas toast, but they already have the garlic and the oregano already and the butter, you know, put on it, and all you do is pop that in the oven. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do, is pop that in the oven while this finish cooks. And then I'll have a nice little dinner tonight. I've made myself a very simple little salad, and that's going to be my little evening dinner, is spaghetti and meatballs. So I hope you enjoyed this video that I've made, and that you'll come back and join me. You'll visit my website, www.cookingwithcaroldiane.com. See everything I have on there. Don't forget to order one of my cookbooks. And I'll catch you next time on Cooking with Carol Diane, from my kitchen to yours. Go make some spaghetti. Bye-bye now.